So you need an email list to succeed with your online business. But if you're going to start or grow an email list, let me just tell you, there are 7 things that you must do first. I will tell you from experience, not doing any of these things could absolutely cripple your list growth. I've been studying email marketing for more than a decade, probably almost 15 years now. What I have noticed is that successful email marketers do all 7 of these musts. Now, the bad news for me, at least, is that I failed at all 7 of these in the past. The good news for you is that you don't have to. Okay, you can learn from my mistakes and what I've learned about these 7. We call them a 7 musts. Now, I'm joined today by my co-host and our VP of content at Matt McWilliams Consulting, Mark Severkrop, who was also your only host for the first minute and a half or so.
That's right, yeah.
Mark, I'm super excited. I'm excited to share these musts and to help people, I know, avoid the mistakes that I've made. I know you've made them, some of these, and I'm just excited to share these today, bud.
I am excited too. I'm always up for reviewing your mistakes. So there's that.
Well, let's just relive the past while we're at it today. So real quick, drop in the comments there, guys. Let us know where you're joining us from. This always just blows me away. And you guys are on always with Facebook Live. How long is the delay? Usually like 5, 7, 10 seconds, like that.
10 to 15 usually.
Okay.
Depends.
So while we're doing that, let us know where you're from. Drop your city and your state, your country, whatever it is, and we'll see whoever's the first person to get a word that a place that I can't pronounce. You'll get, I don't know, you'll get a clap or something. We do have
get a clap.
You're not going to get a prize for that, but we do have a giveaway coming up later. We'll tell you a little bit more about it, but we're going to be giving away Jeff Walker's launch book here on this. And we'll tell you how you can win that here in just a moment. But I want to, before we get started, I see here North Brunswick, New Jersey, Colorado,
Stockholm.
Butte, Montana, not but.
Minneapolis. We covered that last week, yeah.
Yeah. Winston-Salem, Laura's in Winston-Salem, home of Wake Forest University, my dad's alma mater. And what's that?
James is in New York? I thought he was in Pennsylvania for some reason.
He rotates. I learned that last night talking to him. He rotates between New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, Laura, home of Wake Forest University, but more importantly, the original Krispy Kreme, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So, rainy Los Angeles. So I'm here.
We have snowy.
Ephrata, Washington. I'm here getting dumped on by snow right now in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Our snow's not running anymore.
I know we got a ton of list launchers on here. We'll call out you guys in a second. By the time we start list launch, I might actually be buried under snow. Like I might not be able to leave the house the entire week of the list launch challenge. So before we get started, though, I wanted to point out something. That like we follow our own teaching, and this is a little bit advanced. We're not going to talk about this too much in the list launch challenge, and we're probably not going to talk about it that much, and all over the next few weeks. But I just wanted to touch on this. We split tested today's topic. We actually split tested today's topic. Let me tell you the background on that.
It's called practice what you preach.
I had the idea to do the 7 mistakes that you must avoid before you start, email marketing, before you build a list. The 7 mistakes that people commonly make at the beginning. Pretty attractive headline, right? It's got kind of that, oh my gosh, I hope I don't make that mistake, right? Mark said, what if we put a positive spin on it and said it's the 7 things you must do? Because, for every mistake, there's a must do on the flip side, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, in principle, I agree with that, but I don't know what's going to work. So what did we do? We split tested. To tell you the truth, as is the case with about 30 to 40% of the split tests that we do, it didn't matter. The results were almost equal. I think the musts had a 5-click lead over the mistakes when it wasn't anything, certainly not scientifically valid, right? But we decided to run with both really for today. So we'll cover the musts and we'll cover the mistakes all in one. But I just wanted to give you guys, some of you came thinking this was more about mistakes and some of you came thinking it was more about the things that you must do before you start. They're one and the same. But I just wanted to give you guys, I always say it's, we're teaching you how the sausage is made, right? We practice what we preach. Now, I want to welcome all of you. I see just a ton of you all over the world, all over. Matt in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I grew up about 20 minutes from Fayetteville. Fayetteville's home of Fort Bragg and a bunch of Army people and lots of loud noises that woke me up in the middle of the night when I was a child because there's always war games going on. Golly, just somebody, Philadelphia. We were there not too long ago. And we were talking about that the other day. That my wife took our daughter when she, through downtown Philadelphia, through a part of Philadelphia that apparently you're not supposed to go into if you don't have to, but she didn't know. And when
Good
she
to
told
know.
people that, yeah, we walked down to the zoo, and everybody from Philadelphia was like, why would you do that? She's like, because I didn't know. Thank God I'm alive. So, anyway, good stuff there. All right. Welcome, Gwen, Wayne. I see all of you guys. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Dave,
So listen,
Dave's here. Hi,
if
Dave.
you're in the list launch challenge, I know we got a bunch of list launchers on here.
I'm noticing some. Yeah.
Yeah. Drop a comment and let us know that you're in the list launch challenge. Just, you can put list launcher here or something like that, or, whatever. Let us know you're in the list launch challenge. That's starting up next week. We've been talking a lot about that recently. We're going to show you how to launch, how to start, how to build, how to grow your email list in a 5-day challenge next week. If you're not in it, go to listlaunchchallenge.com and you can sign up there. It's only $5 for the whole week. You can join Gwen and James and Rhonda and Kelly and all the others that are in. Again, listlaunchchallenge.com. That Facebook group with the challenge is just crazy. You could join Bill and Grace, John and Tanya, Matt, Sophia, all the others that are in the List Launch Challenge. We've got, Mark, 240-ish, roughly?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're a little bit over. I don't know. Just awesome people. So we're going to be shutting it down when we start on Monday at noon. There's a chance we might have to shut it down a little bit earlier. We don't want the group to get too big. I don't know. We'll see how out of control it gets because these people are crazy, and in a good way. They're crazy.
There's lots of gifts flying around in the Facebook group. Now, admittedly, I think you and I have started that a little bit, but there's still a lot of gifts.
So I'm going to give you guys a sneak preview actually into List Launch, the List Launch Challenge next week. I wasn't planning on doing this. Let's just say that memes are going to play a prominent role in the List Launch Challenge, and we're going to celebrate together a lot. So I'll just leave it at that. There's a cliffhanger for you. That, my friends, and we'll talk about this in the List Launch Challenge, is called the Zeigarnik effect, an open loop. And so we're going to leave that open loop just totally hanging here. So another thing, if you're in the List Launch Challenge, while we're talking here, drop in the comments what you want to learn during the List Launch Challenge. If you're not in the List Launch Challenge, you're going to join by the end. We know you are, listlaunchchallenge.com. So just go ahead and drop what you want to learn when you sign up for the List Launch Challenge. Again, if you haven't signed up, there's still time, not much, listlaunchchallenge.com. Also, to be notified when we do a Facebook Live, as I know a lot of you already are, make sure, Mark, I think the URL is mattmcwilliams.com/FB chat. I should have memorized that by now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Make sure you're signed up to get those messenger updates. That's mattmcwilliams.com/FB chat. That'll redirect you to sign up for those messenger updates, just so you don't miss any of our upcoming Facebook Lives. So let's jump in to those seven musts before you start an email list. Now, like I said, I'm gonna share the must, but I'm also going to share kind of the counter to that, which is, the mistake. Now, the must is you must take action right now. You must take quick action. I read a Facebook comment in the Facebook group for List Launch Challenge, and the guy basically said, I'm tired of not taking action. I'm taking action now. And of course, we responded with an animated GIF, because that's what we do. We're like, yes, because I love seeing that. I'm so excited to share a video that we just recorded. I recorded it last night at like 10 o'clock with James Kalita, who's one of our students. He went from 0 to 3,200 email subscribers in about 90 days. 0 to 3,200.
That is crazy.
Yeah. I said this when I was interviewing him. I said, okay, we need one of those asterisks where I say results not typical, admittedly. Most people don't go from 0 to 3,200 in 90 days. Their growth is a little bit slower, and it's, you know, a little bit, it takes a little bit longer. And it's certainly possible, as he's, I mean, that's the thing, is we look at one person and go, well, that's not even possible. Yes, it is, because one person did it, you know. But I told him it's kind of like when a person, you know, loses 50 pounds in 30 days, and it's like, well, that doesn't normally happen. It's usually slower. But it was just an amazing story. And he said, and I asked him, like, what was the thing? Like, what would you go back and tell the James Kalita before list launch? And he's like, just do it. Just take action. Just start. You have to start. The mistake side of that is not starting, you know, just not taking action and thinking you have to have everything perfect. One of the things he said in that interview was, he's like, my first opt-in, not very good. You know how many people he got with that first opt-in? 500 in like a week and a half with a not good opt-in. With a not good opt-in. It's like the Facebook slogan, done is better than perfect. You like, just take action. Go sign up. If money is an issue, we have 2 recommended email providers, MailChimp and ConvertKit. Both of them you can find at mattmcwilliams.com/toolbox. That's all of my recommended resources there. You can find all of those there, MailChimp and ConvertKit. I don't care which one you choose, but if budget is an issue, MailChimp, I forget the number. I think it's 1,000. It might still be 2,000. You can basically use MailChimp in all of its glory for free up to a certain number of subscribers, and it's at least 1,000.
Including automations.
Yeah, you can use, they used to not do that. You can use all their automation. I don't know that there's a single feature that you can't use on MailChimp for free. I mean, like, that's just crazy, up to 1,000 subscribers. Yeah. Now, before I move on to number 2, real quick, I want to tell you guys, I mentioned this, doing a giveaway. This is actually, I'm not giving you this copy because this is my copy with all of my dog ears and, you know, highlights and just, I mean, this is what a tip, where was it? I just had it there. A typical page in this book looks like. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is highlighted, you know, to the brim. Lots of dog ears and stuff. So I don't want to send you that because I refer back to this book, Launch by Jeff Walker. I refer back to the book about every year or so, just for a random. I'm like, oh, I know it was in the last third of the book. I needed, you know, I need something. The not my personal copy version. We'll order you a copy. We're going to send you a copy of that book. How you can win that is very simple. I just saw a comment about a large drink. Do you have like one of those like gallon drinks or something that you hold like
I have my 36-ounce Yeti.
Okay,
Yeti.
sorry. Just total entrepreneurial.
Yeah, totally.
Entrepreneurial ADOS there. That's attention deficit. Oh, shiny. All right.
Yeah,
so,
I told Matt that I couldn't find my big one today, so I had to go with this one.
Awesome. So I'm going to actually let Mark run the comments and turn them off, because if I try, you guys are commenting.
I'm surprised you've gone this long with them.
Which is awesome, because how you win this book today is to leave a comment. Don't spam and don't put like, you know, whatever. If we ask a yes or no question, certainly put yes or no. But don't just put like random periods and stuff. That doesn't count. We'll disqualify you. Leave a comment. Share. Sharing is a big one. We tend
sharing
to
is caring.
Like the sharing is caring. And when you share, just drop a comment. You don't have to give us the link or anything. We trust you if you share. Just drop a comment and let us know you shared. And sometime later, we'll pick a winner for Launch by Jeff Walker. So sorry, I meant to tell you guys that earlier. So again, you must take action. That is the first thing.
Can I say something about that, Matt?
To take massive action quickly. Yes.
You know, when taking action, I think sometimes we make it so much bigger and harder than it usually is. When my wife and I were starting our emergency fund, my first step was putting $5 in a savings account.
Yeah.
Now $5 isn't much of an emergency fund, but it's like I started, and that's the same thing here. I mean,
the emergency is you ran out of gum,
right? Then I'm covered. I am covered for like 5 packs right there. But I mean, that's the thing. Don't overthink it. Don't get so caught up in having to do something that you don't do just the easiest next step.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what we want to hear from you. Here's your first opportunity to comment. Let us know in the comments what action you are going to take. Now you might have already done it. If you're in list launch, you've taken a great first action, which is sign up for list launch. And we only have a few more days. It's not like you have to wait 3 weeks before we start. Otherwise I'd be giving you other actions right now. What is that first action that you're going to take, that massive action that you're going to take to start building your email list? We're going to move on to number 2 in a second, but I just want to give you guys a chance to leave those comments. And of course, if you have any questions, make sure you drop those in the comment as well. Mark has permission to interrupt me at any point if the question is germane, our favorite word. For those
Jermaine,
of you who don't
Tito,
know us particularly well,
Jackson
yeah,
5.
germane, we just love the word germane. It's from a Brian Regan skit. Drop your comments. He has permission to interrupt me if the question is germane to that point. If it's something else, we'll do a lot of Q&A at the end. So I see, get MailChimp. Yep, I'm working on a chat bot on Facebook to grab subscribers. Sign up for MailChimp or ConvertKit. If you missed that, guys, mattmcwilliams.com/toolbox. Both links are on there. Those are my affiliate links. I teach affiliate marketing. Of course, I use affiliate links. I don't really have a recommendation which one. It really depends on your circumstances.
I like Laura's comment. Did you see Laura's comment there?
Matt, I'll trade you launch for a box of hot. Oh, God. All right, guys, I have 2 copies of launch. No, here's the reason. It actually has nothing to do with me. Fresh Krispy Kreme donuts are my wife's favorite thing on earth.
So you'd be like the hero.
Real quick. You guys have time. Let me know if you guys have time for a quick side story about Krispy Kreme. It's totally random and completely off topic. If you guys want to hear my random story about how I scored a free dozen donuts of Krispy Kreme, let me know in the comments. Just say yes or, Krispy Kreme or something. So we see, checking out MailChimp, writing a free report to give away some new subscribers, a lead magnet. That was Dan. Awesome. And figuring out tags in MailChimp and connect to my online course. Mapping out my email strategy. I have MailChimp. Love it. Follow the 5-day plan. Awesome. All right. So I think we have enough.
Share away. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Share away. Okay,
Go
great.
for it.
All right. So real quick. So this is what we do when we travel. Like we go down to Florida a lot because I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And as Jim Gaffigan says, we don't really have like I'm Texas, everything's big, or I'm from New York and we're tough. It's like, we're from Indiana and we're going to move. So we escape in the winter. We go down south. Well, I think it was 2 years ago. We went down. I was just talking to Sue Dunleavy about this, and we were down on Anna Maria Island in Florida, and we're on our way back. And on our way back, we took like 3 or 4 days or whatever to get back. And we're driving through Cincinnati, and Tara's on her, on the GPS on her phone, like looking up Krispy Kreme, and she finds one. So, but it's in like, I'm looking at the map and I'm like, that's in a weird spot. It's like in an industrial park, So we get off the interstate, we drive around, we go past this, and it's like my phone's telling us to go east, her phone's telling us to go west. So, which just always happens. If you're from Cincinnati, sorry, the traffic situation there's terrible. So we finally find this place, but it's not a Krispy Kreme store or like a convenience store with Krispy Kreme. It's where they make the Krispy Kremes, like the industrial one that they use for fundraisers. And so I get out, I walk up to the car, my kid, the kids and Tara and my mother-in-law are in the back, back in the van. And I'm like, I'm getting ready to knock on the door. And this guy comes to the door and he's like, "Can I help you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd like some Krispy Kremes, please." And that's about how I said it. I was going through puberty at that time at the age of 37. And so, but this guy was huge and intimidating, to be honest. So, and he's like, "Yeah, we don't really do that here." And I'm like, I look over and I'm like, man, the thing is, my wife, this is like her favorite food. We can't get them where we live, which is totally true. And I was just trying to do her a solid, man. He goes, "Let me see what I can do." 3 minutes later, comes back with the hottest, freshest Krispy Kreme box of all time. We go to the car, and I mean, it is just like just a bucket full of heaven in that car. And so if you ever find yourself in an industrial Krispy Kreme thing, it helps to have your spouse or children with you, who really want Krispy Kreme.
That poor guy's gonna get like 5 people show up in the next month, and he's like, "What
I'm
the
not,
heck?
wait, no,
What is
when
going
did I say
on?"
Cincinnati? What I meant was that happened in Louisville. Yeah, Louisville. All right. So if you're just joining us, there's 7 things that you must do before you start an email list. So far, we covered number 1, which is you got to take quick action. You got to start now. Number 2 is you must define your avatar. Now, the mistake version of this is not really knowing exactly who you're speaking to. There's an old phrase that I've used for years, which is if you try to speak to everyone, you end up speaking to no one. You end up speaking to no one. So who's your avatar? Well, I've got a free guide for you. No opt-in required, no nothing. It's just go straight to download it. It's mattmcwilliams.com/avatar worksheet.
You can't give us your email for this if you wanted to.
What's that?
I said, you can't give us your email for this if you wanted to.
Yeah. It'll walk you through the process of establishing your avatar. An avatar is essentially a representation of your ideal customer, of your ideal subscriber, of the person that you want to help, that you want to serve. And so for us, and we go through this in the guide, for us, it's Pete. Even though exactly half my audience is female, we had to pick a name and we decided not to go gender neutral. But we actually have, Pete, and Pete is actually an amalgam of 8 different people in my audience. And we know Pete better than he or she knows him or herself. And so you want to establish that avatar. And so there's an exercise I do before I write any content, before I do it before I prep for our Facebook Lives. I do it before I record a podcast. And I've gotten to the point where I can do this in about 90 seconds. But I just basically want to visualize my avatar interacting with my content. So I will get the lights as dim as possible. I usually throw on some the Tibetan bowls on a white noise app, just kind of a soothing, meditative sound. And I close my eyes and I picture my avatar. I picture him sitting at the computer and interacting with that content. Or I picture him with earbuds in, or watching it on his phone, reading the email, whatever it may be. I picture him interacting with that content and then responding in the way that I want him or her to respond to that content. So if the response is I want them to join List Launch Challenge, then I picture them going to listlaunchchallenge.com and joining. If the action that I want them to take is to download this free report, I picture them downloading. If it's to sign up for a webinar, I picture them signing up and attending the webinar. And then I go one step further, because this is important for your psychological side when you're doing this, is I picture them interacting with that content and responding and then getting results. So if my free report is intended to help them, say, build their email list from 0 to 100 in a week, then I picture them on day 8 going, yes, I've got 104 subscribers. Or I picture them like James going the end of 90 days going, I got 3,200. Admittedly, I've actually never pictured that, because that's amazing that he did that. And he total hustle by him. But I picture that. And when I picture them getting those results, now I'm in the frame of mind to communicate to them. Here's the thing, though. I can't picture them. I can't communicate to them. I can't get them to take the action I want if I don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
You want to know them better than they know themselves. You want to know their demographics, of course. Males 20 to 45. And you want to know the psychographics, though. And by psychographics, in fact, demographics is more like married males 30 to 54. You want to know the psychographics. The psychographics are, were their parents divorced? Things like that. What are they afraid of? What are they really like? What are their likes? What are their impulses? What are their struggles? You want to know that stuff. So this worksheet that I mentioned, Mark dropped the link there, mattmcwilliams.com/avatar worksheet. Go grab that. Again, no opt-in required, no purchase, just go totally for you today. Go grab that. Take that quick action, identify your avatar. For those of you in List Launch, identify your avatar before we start List Launch. And I'm going to tell you right now, you will get further faster next week. And you will get further faster next week because you've already done some of the legwork on identifying that avatar. So use that worksheet, go through it, block aside some time, block aside a couple of hours even to really pin down your avatar. He or she will change over time, but at least to begin with, you've identified who it is. So, all right, number three, and again, I mentioned at the beginning, we've done 2 so far, how that you need to start. You've got to actually take quick action and take massive action. And then number 2, you've got to identify that avatar. Just quick reminder, you can win this book today, Launch, one of my favorite internet marketing books of all time, from Jeff Walker. Actually, this is my copy, not the one you'll win, reminder. But you can win that. Leave a comment, share, let us know that you shared, and we'll enter you in to win later today. All right, so number 3.
James did say he wants your copy, by the way.
James did?
James did, yeah.
James Kalita?
Yeah.
Nice. So James is on. Cool.
Yeah, James.
I've been talking about you, James. I don't know
how
much
much
James.
You heard.
Hey.
Only the bad stuff. He probably only heard the bad stuff.
Yeah. What did I say that was bad about him?
Nothing. Never mind.
All right.
Nothing to see here, James.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love. Oh, who's that? Lisa Mingo. If you could give them a magic wand, what would they create in their life? That is a really good way of looking at your avatar.
That's cool.
In other words, like I'm
gonna steal that.
If you could give them a magic wand, what would it really be?
Yeah.
It wouldn't just be to drop 10 pounds. It would actually be to have the energy and the vitality, the enthusiasm for life, so that I can play with my kids and not be winded or whatever it may be. I know for me it's like, I want to get to the point where I don't feel like I'm going to die after playing 90 minutes of soccer. Right now at about the 75th minute, I'm ready to just die. I want to get to that point, and I'm getting there. That's the thing. If you can give them a magic wand. So Lisa, that was awesome. The third must is you must define your unique voice. Okay. The mistake there is, of course, not having a distinct or unique voice in any way, shape, or form. You just identified your avatar, who you are speaking to. Now, what's your voice? You have to get really, really, really clear on this. Really, really clear. So think about this. Are you conversational? Are you professorial? Are you like in your face, motivational? Oh, like this, or are you a little bit more like my wife? I'm more like, get off your butt and start an email list. My wife is like, hey, now. That's why we go so well together, and why we're still trying to figure out our schedule so we can be on these together. She's more like, listen, hold up, Matt. And it's the yin and the yang, right? Well, you have to pick the yin or the yang. Unless you do have a spouse who can come on with you and knows the subject matter and wants to join you, then that could work as well. So that is your voice in that case. If you have like a team and you're the, kind of the good cop, bad cop, the yin and the yang, decide on this and be consistent. So for instance, I would never in a million years start speaking, using big words in my emails. My writing is on a 4th grade level. Now I'm not like a 4th grade level writer. I can use the big words. I just choose not to. I mean, I can go back and take senior year English and write all kinds of big words to impress my teacher and make an A again. I just don't choose to do that. Most of us, most audiences, the average audience, you want to speak at about a 6th grade level to communicate with effectiveness. Because if I use a word that has 4 syllables when I could use a word with 2, the 2-syllable word wins. Ironically, the word syllable is a little bit on the long side for me, clicks. Is it clicks? Maybe, I don't know. But you have to be consistent. So I'm not going to suddenly become this guy who, starts being verbose and using those big words. That's not who I am. Be consistent. So is this making sense to you guys? Let me know in the comments if what I'm saying is making sense. And there's all types of voices you could have. You could be the teacher. You could be the fellow journeyman. You could be the guy who part of your voice is, what? I don't know it all. I'm learning with you. Come on this journey with me. The other voice is, I was where you were 6 years ago, and it was a struggle, but I learned this, and now here's where I am today. Another voice is just, I've learned from the greatest, and I want to share their wisdom with you. There's when I think of guys in this, like, Derek Halpern. Derek Halpern goes and takes these complicated psychological studies and turns them into, like, blunt force over the head. Here's what this means type stuff. You can go read a book like Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, and if you don't know, it's a little heady stuff. It's pretty heady. So somebody like me comes in and says, hey, here's what I'm learning in Persuasion, and I translate it into English. So those are there's all types of different voices. Another voice it's very common in the, kind of in like the motivational sort of space is, just again, it's not so much that you're loud. It's that you're not afraid to tick some people off. We'll talk about that a little bit. You got to not be afraid to tick people off. I see Russ saying my voice is conversational. I write well and fast when I'm in that mode. Be true to yourself. Yes. My avatar, back to avatar. Okay. Yeah. Right on. If you're conversational, continue to be conversational. Another part of your voice is, are you better produced or live?
Yeah.
I'll share with you guys. One of the reasons why we do so many lives now is I'm just better live. It's easier for me, and my audience said I'm better live. But here's the thing. I grew up watching other people. I won't mention their names, but people that you've heard of, that you follow, and they're doing these really produced videos. And I'm like, but I got to be like them. I got to be like the people in my niche. But my audience wasn't responding to those. They like these. They like our lives. The same is true if the reverse, if the reverse is true. If your audience doesn't like you live because of whatever, and you need to have a more straightforward video, then stay true to that and be consistent. Rhonda says, my voice is I'm with you, sprinkled with a little humor. I ask that you consider things in one. Yeah, that's a voice. If you're funny, keep being funny. If you are, if you're controversial, keep being controversial. I mean, imagine, let's just face reality. Well, we'll talk about that later, about political commentators. But like, if you're funny, be funny. Don't hold back.
Yeah.
So again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the 7 things that you must do before you start an email list. So far, we've talked about taking that quick action, getting something done now, defining your avatar. And if you missed that, go to mattmcwilliams.com/avatar worksheet and grab my free worksheet on how to actually go through the process of finding your avatar and then defining your unique voice. All right. So number 4, you've got to put yourself in the proper mindset. That proper mindset. We talked about this earlier, that exercise that I gave you, that visualization exercise. And if you missed that, the replay will be right here where you're watching it. Just watch it afterwards and you can go through that exercise. It was in point number 2, I believe, in the avatar section. It's that mindset of serving first. I'm looking for ways to serve my audience. And like I said, when I'm preparing content, I put it through that lens and I do that visualization exercise because I put everything through the context of, does this serve my avatar? Does this serve Pete? There's something we do. It's a stylization. Pete is always written in all caps when we're talking about our avatar. There's something about it when I see it on paper and it, or on the screen, and it just stands out to remind me that Pete doesn't just blend into all the other words. He stands out, and it is all about him. It is all about my audience. It's all about everyone on here. It's all about you, Gwen. It's all about you, Angela. It's all about Laura and Angelica and Karan. I mean, it's all about you. It is not about what I feel like talking about today or whatever. It's not about what I'm comfortable talking about. When we started doing more Facebook Lives, for example, I wasn't comfortable with it. I didn't want to do them. But my audience is asking for that and telling me that that's what they want. And so it's all about serving first. The other thing you've got to do here when you put yourself in the proper mindset, you've got to understand that there are haters in the world. And guess what? They don't matter. So you get yourself in that proper mindset before you start an email list that understands that anytime you put yourself out there, anytime you take a stand and put a flag in the ground and say that I'm going to talk about this topic, anytime you put a flag in the ground and say that the way to lose weight is the ketogenic diet, anytime you put a flag in the ground and say that, this is right and this is wrong, here's the way you improve public education, or here's the way you improve the housing situation, or here's the way you end the government shutdown, or whatever it is, there will be people that hate you for that. They don't matter. They just don't matter. But if you're not prepared for that and you don't know the proper way to handle that, it can crush you when you first start. Because you think, John Acuff had a great thing. And he calls it critics math. Critics math. So it's the math of critics. Because when I first heard him say that, I thought he said critics meth. So just to be clear, and I was like, oh, that's critics math.
That's a totally
1,000 compliments plus one hater equals one hater. That's critics math. We all do it. And if you're not prepared for it. So quick tips. Number one, if you can get an assistant to help you to go through your emails first and to weed out the haters, do so. I don't see most of them. The only time I ever see any of the haters, and I get them from time to time, the only time I ever see them is if I accidentally check my inbox because I'm looking for another email, as opposed to going to the folder that we specifically have for me that's the filtered out email. If you can do that, do it. It doesn't cost a lot, doesn't take a lot. If you can do it, do it. If you can't, maybe you're not like me, but I'll tell you that I got an email once. This was not from a hater per se. It was from an ex-business partner. And he wrote this email. And to this day, I still remember what he said in this. I won't go into it, but he said something that got to the core of me. This is about a decade ago. Got to the core of me and put me in a really crappy mood for about a week. And I kept going back and reading that email. And it would just make me madder and madder. Finally, what I had to do was just permanently delete the email. I had to permanently delete it from Gmail. Do that. Do that if you get an email like that, is permanently delete it before you ever even finish reading it. If you notice that it's a hater, you get one sentence in and you can tell where this is going, delete, permanently delete, never look at it again. So understand those haters. I said heaters because my office is a little cold right now. So you got to put yourself in the proper mindset. The thing, remember, you can't please everyone. Being scared to polarize is what holds us back from giving our true voice to the world. And it's what leads to our next mistake that we're going to share in a little bit. So I want to hear from you. What is the biggest struggle you have with your mindset? What's the biggest struggle you have with your mindset when it comes to your email list? Let us know in the comments, and I'm going to go through some of these comments here. Mark, any thoughts on that, actually, about the mindset side?
I think it's huge. I mean, Lisa said a little bit ago that it was something about the only limit of your mind is the limit of your words. And just that idea of, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but it's our worries. I mean, if you think about any of those things that are holding you back, it's probably within yourself. It's probably, I don't think or what if someone says, or, it's like, it's never actuality. And I think that's why, coming back to that first thing, taking that action right away, that really helps with the mindset, at least for me. It's harder for me to have the right mindset if I'm not making progress. So if I'm taking those small actions, it's a lot easier to have the right mindset and a lot easier to overcome those limitations.
Oh, wow. Back-to-back comments from Maura and Gwen. Am I really an expert? Maura says, and they don't know me as an expert.
How do you know? You don't know they don't know you as an expert.
That no one will sign up. So on that expert thing, and I saw another one, imposter syndrome, from John Workman. Let's tackle those real quick. Imposter syndrome is basic. They all tie in together. Am I really an expert? Am I really the most knowledgeable person about this? And, you know, do I really belong here? Um, I joked, I think I joked recently about how in a couple of months, I'm going to be in an affiliate mastermind at my favorite place on earth, Blackberry Farm. And it's just really, it's like, I think it got voted like best resort in the entire country, by like Zagat and some other stuff. It's just amazing. It's in the mountains of Tennessee. And it's going to be Michael Hyatt, Jeff Walker. By the way, just reminder, we're giving away his book, Jeff Walker, we're giving away Launch. You can enter by commenting or sharing, and let us know in the comments that you shared, and we'll pick a winner here toward the end. So Michael Hyatt, Jeff Walker, Pat Flynn, and me. And I joked, I said, to quote Dave Ramsey, I'm going to feel like a wiener in a steakhouse. Like, one of these things is not like the other, right? And that's not, I'm not diminishing me. I'm just saying those guys have like vastly established themselves. And one of the way, code for that is Jeff and Michael are much older than me. And, and Pat's not, but I mean, he's just done some amazing things. And it's like, wait a minute, do I really belong here? I'm like, well, yes, I do, because I finished in the place that I finished in that in that affiliate competition. I made a certain number of sales. I earned it. And I have to remind myself of that like I'm going in as a peer, not as like, oh man, I hope they like me, And so imposter syndrome is prevalent. We all have it. Here's the thing about I call it, it's the concept of thinking you have to have letters. You have to have letters behind your name. You have to have a PhD to talk about health and fitness. Well, what if you're somebody who used to weigh 300 pounds and now you weigh 150 and you just finished a triathlon? Maybe you might be certified. Maybe you don't have the certification or the paper on the wall, but maybe you know more about it than the experts do. And I had a conversation with a lady a couple weeks ago, and her kids are autistic. And she said, I was asking, I was like, what do you want to do with your platform? And she's like, well, I don't know, because nobody wants to hear me talk about how to like autism. I said, yeah, every single parent who has autistic children does. Mm-hmm. And she said, yeah, but I'm not an expert. In other words, I don't have letters behind my name. I said, how old are your kids? She said 9 and 7. I said, that's 16 years of experience. What are you going to get in school that tops 16 years of parenting 2 autistic children? I said, what people want, they don't want a guy in a coat, in a lab coat. They don't want a doctor. They don't want somebody that uses words you can't even understand. They want somebody who comes to them and says, you know what? I have autistic children. Here's what I've done. Oh, and by the way, they acknowledge that sometimes when you have autistic children or children in general, unless you truly admit this, sometimes life sucks because it's tough. It's hard.
It's true.
It's just hard. When you got a sick child, it's hard. Is it worth it? Of course, I'm not getting into that. But I said, and I asked her this question. I said, can I just ask you an honest question? At any point in those 16 years of parenting those children, have you ever just wanted to kill them? And she said, yeah, a few times. And I said, there's a month's worth of content, because that's what people want. They want the real struggle. They want the real, like, okay, I have an autistic child and he did this. And here's how I got him to do this. And I overcame that struggle in this way. Doesn't matter if you have letters behind your name. Doesn't matter if you're an expert. You are an expert. So get past that. Just please, put in the comments, I'm an expert. We are all experts at something. Put in the comments, I'm an expert. Put it in all caps. Put an exclamation point at the end. I'm an expert, because we are all experts at something. We're experts at that thing that people just keep asking us about. How do you blank? How do you do this? Dan Carlin hosts one of my favorite podcasts called Hardcore History. Guess what? No letters, not a historian, no letters behind his name. No letters behind his name. Has the best, most popular history podcast on iTunes. When he releases a new episode, Mark, I know you know this, when he releases a new episode, it's in the top 3 on all of iTunes, but he's not a historian. But I listen to every episode. I'm giving him money because I'm getting some of his back episodes. He's not certified to teach history. He's the best history teacher I've ever had. Just slightly above Miss Terry, my junior year American history teacher. She was pretty awesome. Reminds me a lot of Dan Carlin. She made it into a story. So yes, Grace. Yes, Pamela. Yes, Kathy. Yes, Gwen. Yes, Ruby. Yes, Karan. You are all experts. Cindy, Maura, Angelica. You are an expert. So I forget. I think it was Gwen and Maura who said that. Like, I'm afraid that I'm not an expert. Yes, you are. You have life experiences that will help you reach your audience. Whether you've lost the weight, run your first marathon, parented autistic children, parented children with ADHD, parented children with diabetes, parented children with whatever, whether you've failed at business, run a business, started a business, you know, if you're an expert at science or history or whatever, you're an expert. You're an expert. So, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the 7 musts before you have to do these before you start your email list. And just a side note, if you don't know me super well, you're new to my tribe. What just happened where I went like way off over here, and instead of stuff, get used to it. It's what happens.
Yeah.
That's why I love doing these lives. Because
at least you ask now. At least you ask before you go off on rabbit
trails. Not
now.
always. No, I only asked once. That was about the Krispy Kreme story. I was so over there that I had to ask permission. So we talked about taking quick action, defining your avatar, defining your unique voice, and putting yourself in the proper mindset. Also, if you're not already, make sure you're signed up for our list launch challenge. It starts next Monday, January 21st. Go to listlaunchchallenge.com and you can get signed up. The must number 5 is that you must start emailing when you have your first subscriber. You must start emailing when you have your first subscriber. The worst mistake you can make, absolutely worst mistake you can make, is to put off emailing people, to put off emailing your list until you have a certain number of subscribers, enough subscribers. Okay. So if you have 1 subscriber, if you're at that point where you're on today, you got a few, 1, 10, 20, 30, whatever, you can put your number, and I want you to just type this: I have enough subscribers. Not enough that you don't want to get more down the road, but you have enough to mail. You have enough to mail. So here's what happens. If you wait until you have enough subscribers to start mailing them, it just leads to delays. And you put it off. People forget that they signed up. If you've ever signed up for a list and not heard from them for a month, and then they email you, what happens? You mark it as spam. You mark it as spam. You delete it without reading it. You unsubscribe. I mean, it's just how we work. Now, of course, you want to have as big of a list as you possibly can. But if I'm going to tell you right now, if you're waiting for some magical number of subscribers, your contacts will forget about signing up in the first place. So then you're going to have lower engagement. You're going to have those spam rates. When you're finally emailing them more, they're not expecting to hear from you. The other thing is, if you're waiting for some magical number of email subscribers, guess what? It's never going to happen. It will, there is no number. Oh, I'll start emailing when I have 104 subscribers or 82 or some other artificial thing. Instead, focus on following through with the commitment you've made to your current subscribers. Give them what they're looking for.
Can I ask a question, Matt?
Yes.
Gwen had a great question here. She said, I screwed up and haven't mailed my subscribers yet. Can I recover?
Gwen, all hope is lost. I am sorry to break that to you. No. All right. Like any of these mistakes, they're not fatal. They're not fatal. And they're not going to completely destroy your business. I've made all of them, and I'm still here, guys. Email them now, Gwen. And Gwen is in our mastermind group. It's called the Start Mastermind. It's for beginner online marketers. If you're interested in something like that, we just started. It's just super powerful. If you're interested, email me at matt@mattmcwilliams.com and I'll give you some information. We're not taking on any members right now, but I'll give you some information when we do open it up again. And Gwen, here's what I'll say. reach out to me. You know the secret email, Glenn, that'll get to me really fast and I can respond hopefully today. Reach out to me. I've got a plan. I'll probably just record a quick video for you and walk you through what to do to recover from that. It's not the end of the world. You messed up. I wish it hadn't been that way. It would be better if you didn't, but it's not fatal. Okay. It's not fatal. So just know that. The other thing about emailing when you only have a few subscribers is that people share emails, they forward them. And so if you wait until you have a certain number, you're not going to be able to grow as much because there's no email to forward. And I know I get a lot of subscribers from forwarded emails. So start sending them as soon as possible. Like the moment somebody starts signing up, you should have that first automated email ready for them. The other thing is learn what your audience likes and dislikes before you get really big. I mentioned, I know you've got a question mark, but I'll come back to that.
Go for it.
I mentioned John Acuff earlier, that critics math that 1,000 compliments plus one, criticism equals one criticism. He also talks about this thing called your Nebraska moment. And it was this moment when he realized he speaks on stages with 10,000 people now. And he wanted to kind of skip all the stuff where you get to that point. He wanted to speak on a stage of 10,000. Instead, he was in Nebraska not even Lincoln or Omaha, but like the middle of Bumbleberg, Nebraska, speaking to 30 people at a church. And he's like, what the heck am I doing here? But he realized that if he had spoken on a stage with even 1,000 people, because those 30 people were not that engaged because he wasn't very good. And so when you have 20 people on your list, 10 people, 50 people, 100, whatever, that's your Nebraska. You're practicing. You're learning what people want. Yeah. And you can do for that small group what you can't do for tens of thousands of people. So remember that, your Nebraska moment.
Check out this comment from about 90 seconds ago, Matt, from Mark. Not me, another Mark. I think it's best to get the goof ups while my list is so small that I can make better progress later when I've learned something. I mean, that's exactly what you just said.
Instead of telling that whole story, was go read Mark Ross's comment. Mark, that's an awesome comment. He's right. You goof up, you mess up. 8 people get your email that you accidentally put, the first sentence, you put your name in the subject line or something, you just messed up. Okay, yeah. Cool.
Your mom's not going to worry about it.
Yeah, your mom's not going to care. Your wife's cool with it, So mess up small. I always talk about I designed an image with this years ago, and it just it's like screw up small so that you can blow up big. If you screw up when things are small, you screw up with 100 Twitter followers, and then one day something happens and you wake up and you have 5,000, and you can't, you're not as much grace there. So that's number 5 is don't wait until you have a certain number of subscribers. You must start emailing your list right away. So if you're just joining us, like a ton of you are, we're talking about the 7 things that you must do before you start an email list. I just saw one thing pop through there from, who's that for? Talking about Nebraska. Oh, both times I stayed in Nebraska as a kid, I was hit by a tornado. Did you ever think that you're the common denominator there, Glenn?
Right. Yeah. Ooh. Let's have Gwen not come visit us. Sorry, yeah. Gwen. That was mean. I apologize. I'm sorry. We pick on Gwen a lot. Just, she told me earlier today that I have a brotherly mean streak.
Yeah. She just left off the word brotherly with me. So far we've covered that you must take quick action. You must define your avatar. You must define your unique voice, put yourself in the proper mindset, and then start emailing when you have your first subscriber. The number 6 thing that you must do before you start your email list is you've got to plan your content. You must plan your content. So when you first start, plan the content. Otherwise, what happens is you're inconsistent. So what happens is you send 4 emails the first week, then 1, then none, then 5. You're all over the map. Now, I don't practice this in theory because I don't send exactly the same number. It's not about sending the exact same number. It's about planning your content So when you're starting off, especially, and maybe you don't have as much content, you don't have as much stuff that you could possibly talk about because you don't have questions and you don't have comments from people and things like that. That instead of sending 4 the first week and then 3 the second week, and then you kind of run dry, you say, hey, I've got 7. I'm going to send a weekly email for 7 weeks. But if during those 7 you start writing more or producing more or recording more, then you go, okay, I can bump that up to 2. I can bump this up to 3. And then I can bump this up to 4, And so you can bump it up as you go, but plan it. Now, if you have 30 to start with, start off with 2 or 3 a week. The point is just put it on a calendar and actually plan your content. This also keeps you from being all over the place with your content. To use an example, like in the health and fitness industry, if I send you an email today and it's about, how to get more vegetables in your diet, and then tomorrow I talk about running a triathlon, and the next day I talk about, the mental side of fitness, and then 2 days later I send one about, how to do more strength training, and then I'm over here, and then I'm over there, and all over the place, it doesn't work. You want to send one about how to get more, why are vegetables good for you? Well, maybe, how to eat more vegetables yourself, how to get your kids to eat more vegetables. And you have a sequence to these emails that actually makes coherent sense. You can't do that unless you sit down and plan your content. So don't make the mistake of just not really knowing what the heck you're going to email about in the near future. Plan it out as much as possible so there's consistency. Also, so that you don't go through those spurts. Because here's the thing. When you're a solopreneur, when you're first starting out, and you go on vacation, your business shuts down. We talk about the laptop lifestyle and you can work from anywhere, but why would you want to work from anywhere? When you go to Anna Maria Island for vacation, why would you want to be on a laptop? I tried that once. You know what happened? I sat down at 9:30 to write, and by about 9:40, I looked out down the thing and I could see my kids and my wife playing. I'm like, I'm out. I can't do that. It's not fun for me. I want to be at the beach enjoying family time. And so that couldn't happen, though, if I hadn't planned the content out. So plan your content.
Got a question here, Matt.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, it is a question. But Sophie asked this question, and then Laura said she's in the same boat. People get deluged by emails, and I'm afraid to bug them with more. I ask people to subscribe to be notified when my book comes out. Why do I need to email them now?
When did your book come out, Sophia? I'm going to assume that it's not tomorrow. And what's going to happen is they're going to forget about you. It's called having a warm list versus a cold list. A cold list is a list that you haven't mailed in 45 days, 60 days, 100 days. They want to hear from you in the meantime. So let's use that as an example, Mark. Your book, right? Here's what you do. I'm going to just make it up. This comes out in 60 days, right? What do you do between now and then? Well, today you mail them and say, hey, it was sent to the publisher. That's a bad timeline, but you get the idea because it was sent to the publisher like 9 months before it comes out. It was sent to the publisher, or I just got my first copy. Look, here's me with my book. Oh, it's awesome. Here's a preview of chapter 1. Here's something I learned while writing this book. Here's, by the way, here's the date announcement. It's official. It's going to be out on this date. Here's some bonuses I'm giving away if you pre-order the book. And so now what happens is if the book's coming out on, say, April 1st, you can run a pre-order from March 15th through like March, 25th. And that's kind of creates 2 deadlines. You can have a deadline on March 25th to get these bonuses and get this special deal on the book. And then on April 1st, it comes out again. But let them in on the process. So it was Sophia, I think. Sophia, let them in on the process. Share them what you're thinking while writing it. Tell them what tell them a quick thing like, hey, last week I finished writing chapter 5 and it's about this. And I told the story about so-and-so and I had this realization. Tell them that there's, little things like a week before, 2 weeks before, a month before, just tell them the little things that you got. If you do an interview where you talk about the book, then share the interview. You know, those are all the little things you can do, Sophia. But here's the thing. They didn't just sign up to be notified when your book comes out. They signed up to hear from you. Newsflash, Sophia, they like you.
You're an expert.
You're an expert. They like you. They trust you. They want to hear from you. Put that in the comments. Like, my tribe wants to hear from me. My tribe wants to hear from me. Like, that's a mental thing. You've got to make that. Like, it's not. What was the word you, the phrase you used, Mark? I don't know. Can you put that back up on the screen? Are you able to do that?
Yeah. Let me find it here. In a second.
I think it's just something like, I don't want to bug them or interrupt them,
Yeah.
or we'll just, you know, I want to use her language, but it's something along the lines of, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to bug them. Yeah. I don't want, I'm afraid to bug them with more. No, they like you. Kathy, your audience likes you. Jim, Gwen, your audiences like you. Kron, your audience likes you. Laura, audience likes you. Wayne, your audience likes you. So put that, my audience likes me. You can also put, they want to hear from me. Like, and that can be hard because these people are in, like, they're in Butte, Montana. You know, they're in Sweden. They're in Kenya, Australia, Germany. Like, I've never even met them. They like me? Yeah, because they follow you and they know just a little bit about you. They feel like they know you. And they want to hear from you. So don't deprive them of that. Don't feel like you're bugging them. Now, if you're bugging them, if you really are bugging them, you'll know that you're bugging them. It's you know, when you write that email, if you do that exercise that I gave you earlier, you know, where you visualize your avatar going through that process, you're not going to bug them. You're serving them. So Sophia, serve your tribe, serve them with everything you have. And if that means that you got to serve them 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, serve them, you know, just, yeah. There's somebody on your list. I'll tell you this. There's a lot of people on your list that need you. You know, there's somebody out there that they need that email you're about to send. And I know we've had some people sign up for the list launch challenge, for example. That's why I've been talking so much about email marketing, right? There's already people that just signing up for the challenge is a massive step for them because they've never invested in themselves. Whether it be $1, $5, or, you know, $497 or $1 million. They've never invested in themselves. And this was the first time they said, you know what? No, I'm drawing a line in the sand. I know I need an email list. I'm going to grow it. I'm going to make this investment. And they signed up. And that was like a colossal step for them, putting themselves out there. And then they introduced themselves in the Facebook group. And that was a colossal step for them. So take that colossal step, whatever it is. One of those colossal steps, though, is just realizing that somebody in your audience right now needs you. And if you deprive them of that, Carrie Wilkerson calls it information hoarding. If you deprive them of that, you're doing them a disservice. So that was point number 6. Point number 7, guys. All right, this one's controversial. You must be willing to be controversial. See, I told you it was going to be controversial. What's the phrase? You know, you can't play. What was it Mitch Hedberg said? You can't please all the people all the time. And last night, those people were at my show. Like, you can't please everyone. And here's, like I said earlier, when you try to speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And I used the example, but I didn't really touch on it that much. You know, political commentators. The most political commentators are not the moderates. Nobody listens to them. Very few people do. You know, the most popular political commentators are the flamethrowers on both sides.
Yep.
Now, you can say, well, I don't want to be like that. Cool. Don't be like that about that. But the most controversial are usually the most successful in any niche. You know, if you think about who are the most successful people in, like, the health and fitness niche, it's the ones who say, you know, the drug companies are bad and we're going to talk about natural medicine.
Yeah. Or put butter in your coffee and you'll lose weight.
Yeah. Put butter in your coffee, you know, the ketogenic diet. It's like, those are the most popular. And then on the flip side, some of the most popular ones, you say, you know what, all that other stuff is wrong. Actually, the key is, you know, to enjoy life and eat more vegetables, whatever. Those are just some examples. the best way to grow your business is not to take venture capital. Russell Brunson, talks about that. It's a controversial statement. When you do that, like I said earlier, you will get some hate mail. You will get people. I interviewed a guy, Dr. Dale Archer. He's an ADHD doctor, and I interviewed him. And the reason I interviewed him is because I read his book and I could relate to it because I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was a kid, and thank goodness my mom didn't she refused to let them put me on medicine. And I did this video, and this video is just talking about the advantages to ADHD. It doesn't say don't put your kids on medicine. It doesn't say this. It just says, you know what? There's actually some advantages to this. That YouTube video has so many hateful responses. This guy's a quack. I can't believe you would interview him. He's a disgrace to the medical profession. And how can that be true? And I read his book going, oh my gosh, this is life-changing for me. How can his book change my life, but he's a disgrace? Those are incongruent things. It's just the way that people are, right? And so he's controversial, but he changed my life. He's not for everybody. You disagree with him, don't follow him. So if you try to please everyone, you're going to end up really helping no one. So you have to be willing. Doesn't mean every email you've got to throw some flames out there, but you've got to be willing to draw a line in the sand and say, this is my ideal audience. This is my avatar. And if you're not my avatar, if you're not for me, you're against me. If you're not my avatar, I don't really care about you in the sense of this topic. If you want me to be nicer, or you want me to not, whatever, if you want me to make you feel good about everybody and, and it's all unicorns and rainbows, then I'm not for you. If you want Dave Asprey to say, stop putting butter in your coffee, you're not for him, bulletproof coffee guy. If you want Dale Archer to come out and say that everybody with ADHD should be medicated into submission, he's not for you. Not for you. So be willing to be controversial. Now, there's plenty of more mistakes and musts. One of the biggest mistakes, not promoting your email list all the time. We're going to talk about that in List Launch Challenge. Not having an awesome lead magnet. We're going to talk about that in the List Launch Challenge. Not having the proper landing page. We're going to talk about that in the List Launch Challenge. So many others. Not growing your email list from the easiest people, the low-hanging fruit. Most people skip the low-hanging fruit and try to go up where they have to struggle to get people. And there's fruit right there for the taking. We're going to talk about that in the List Launch Challenge. So if you are not signed up for the List Launch Challenge, go to listlaunchchallenge.com and get signed up. And I can't wait to see you in that. So as I've been sharing these things with you, goodness gracious, so many amazing comments. My guess is something has come to your mind. My guess is I've sparked something in you with these 7 things today. And you've realized maybe there's a mistake you've made, and that's okay. Gwen, thank you for admitting that. Thank you for being willing to say, you know what, I messed this up. I have an email on my list. Oops, how do I fix it? How do I fix it? Something's come up, and I'd love to know what that is. So here's my question. What are you going to do immediately to get started right away? Which of these 7 things has sparked something in you? Drop this in the comments. Which of these 7 things has sparked something in you? What is that next big action step for you? I don't know what it is. I can't tell you. In List Launch Challenge, I'm going to give you the action steps. I'm going to say, here, do this today, and then do this tomorrow, do this. But right now, I want to hear from you. And Kathy made a great point though about the controversial thing. Don't be controversial for controversial's sake. People can spot a fake. Yeah, don't
just annoys people.
Don't flow frames. Yes, that's what happens when you're an hour and 11 minutes into a Facebook Live.
Flow frames.
I completely agree. I once said, don't throw flames just for the sake of throwing them. Define my avatar. I need to put myself in the right mindset. Valerie, use that exercise. Focus on serving. really need to understand my avatar. Best way to do that, we'll talk about this in List Launch Challenge in depth. Get that worksheet, mattmcwilliams.com/avatar worksheet. The other best way to do that is to talk to your people. Offer them a free coaching call, 30-minute coaching call, and talk to them and learn, record them, use Zoom or Skype, record them, learn, hey, what are your struggles? What keeps you up at night? What wakes you up in the morning? It's not all about struggles. Sometimes it's about the positive side of life. What are your, it's kind of like, what are your deepest, darkest desires? No, it's usually, it's the QBQ, the question behind the question. It's, well, I want to lose weight so I look good. Or is it really, you want to lose weight because of this? I want to be, happier because of this. I want to start a business because of this. Really, what is the reason why you want to start a business? And so it's getting to that thing. Define my avatar, consistency, understand this avatar thing you refer to all the time, believing that they want to hear from me even before my program is ready to launch. Awesome. Work on my mindset of serving my audience. I missed number 7. What was it? Number 7 was be willing to be controversial, Gail. I'm going to email my list tomorrow. Huzzah. Yes, Laura. And I fear I'm unsure. Okay. Set up my email account. It's a great first step. That was Earl. Yeah. Awesome. Love the reminder to serve. And awesome. So, all right, guys, we'll wrap up here. Thank you so much. Like we said, if you're not in the List Launch Challenge, go check it out. listlaunchchallenge.com. We'll be live every day next week for those who are signed up in that community. We'll be live 5 days with a lesson. We'll have an action item for you. So come prepared. Be prepared to put in some work, guys. For those of you, I know we have a ton of you list launchers on here. Be prepared to work next week. It's simple, but not easy. You got to hustle. I mentioned that interview I did with James Kalita. James went from 0 to 3,200 email subscribers in about 90 to 100 days. It wasn't easy. It was simple. If you ask him, what did you do? He said, I did what you taught me. It wasn't complicated, but the theme that I kept getting from him as he was doing this was hustle. But at the same time, if you look at the math, number of subscribers and hours worked to do it, he was generating 20 to 25 of subscribers per hour of work. That's some pretty good math when you start extrapolating that to a year. Really, really cool. So keep coming back. We'll see you in the next Facebook Live, and we'll see you in the List Launch Challenge. Again, last call for that, at least on here, listlaunchchallenge.com. And we'll see you soon, guys. Thank you so much.
Matt.
Yes.
We did not give away a book yet.
Oh,
now you promised people a book.
Wait a minute.
And here you are trying to leave without giving away a book.
Sorry. It's out of sight, out of mind over there. Okay. So we let Mark draw these. It's one of the many ways I get to stroke his ego.
Yeah. And it's totally random, mainly just because my mind is random a lot of times, not because I do anything random.
Jeff Walker's Launch, one of my favorite internet marketing books of all time. We have a winner. Who is it?
We do. I've been through this whole thing, guys. There's been, let's see, at my last count, not really. There's actually a counter that tells me 417 comments. And I've been making notes as I've seen people that make good comments, and you kind of bump to the top as you make more good comments. So the winner of Jeff Walker's book today is Angelica Christie.
Nice.
So she had lots of really good comments. My favorite was she said that her avatar was a spunky, opinionated 50+ woman or something like that. And I'm like, I love that specificity. That is fantastic.
I love that.
And I probably butchered it. So
in our Start Mastermind yesterday, one of our starters, we call them, they said, she said that hers was like women 50+, or women, the kids are out of the home and they, in the rural United States, they live rural, and it was like, that is a defined avatar. You should think of that and it's like, okay, great. There's less than a few million of them. That's perfect, but it's still a few million. So I love that. Angelica, congratulations. Drop, How does she get that? Message you privately or
Yeah,
what?
just PM me, message me, and get me your address, Angelica, and we will get that to you.
Awesome. Well,
all right.
Thank you guys. Congratulations, Angelica. And for you list launchers, we'll see you Monday, 12 noon Eastern when we're starting. And for everyone else, go sign up, listlaunchchallenge.com. We'll see you in the next Facebook Live. Take care, guys. Bye.
See you guys.